October the 16th, 2017. I got a crazy lineup. As usual, this one's a little crazier than normal. It's not a good thing, not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely a thing. 20 million particles of radioactive iodine-131. Gee, I wonder if that's bad. So, I can show you endless truth, and then they show you a single liar, and for some people that's good enough. Well, Dana, they showed me somebody who said everybody else was a liar. What are you talking about? How'd you get that stupid? Rain with 20 million particles of iodine-131. 20 million. In a liter. I'll kill the music for you. 20 million particles in a liter is, oh crap, time. It's like, oh boy. We are major smurf-ups. 20 million, that meant your whole country, just with this one rainfall, was polluted. Your entire country. Models were made, and this is the government's official site, NOAA's site, NOAA, your government, NOAA, NOAA.government. You can go there, the link is below the video. And you won't see this headline there, but you can look it up. Official report, and the link is below for you today. West Coast, not tonight, it's the morning. It's like 10:31 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, British Columbia, Canada time. Powell River time. 220 million becquerels of the iodine. And, well, Dana, that's just iodine-129. That's not too bad. At least it's not plutonium. And so people that utilize that technique of distraction, manipulation, forgot to include that all the other isotopes are going to be there. Every single one of them will show up in very large quantities. So, iodine-130, 129. And 131. 20 million and 131, right? And so there's 10 times more 132, 30 times more 133 ionizes and radiates your thyroid glands 9 times more effective than the 131. There's 20 million in a liter. 55 of any of them is an evacuation zone. The 129 just meant that it's a tracer. We know how to find it. So we could, and that meant we do a mathematical calculation and everything else would be there. It's the same thing for the cesium. We find the 134, 137, because we can find them with the Geiger counters. So that meant we could do a mathematical calculation and guesstimate how much more of the other ones are going to be there. All the xenon are also going to be there. All the krypton is going to be there. All the usual suspects like the americium, neptunium are going to be there. Remember, the reactors run on uranium, plutonium. The curium is the actual biggest byproduct of it. Of all of these and all their daughters, the biggest byproduct is curium. And curium acts like plutonium. But so you see a headline and it says 220 million atoms per liter of 129, and that's enough that warrants you getting yourself educated. And that warrants you changing every facet of your life from here on out. Same as this one. And it ionizes and radiates your thyroid glands immediately, and the threat lasts for the rest of your life. Japan's physicians demand answers. 90% of the urine samples contaminated with cesium, right where they're going to have the Olympics. 90%. A bit of slurping. Little stopper for me. I'm going to try to keep it warm for a few extra minutes. Because I have to turn off everything in my spot here so we can have better audio. I don't like to wear a jacket or a sweater if I don't have to. Children who live in near nuclear plants, just a couple of these headlines. We're going to move into all kinds of headlines from yesterday and the day before. Children who live in near nuclear plants have double leukemia rates, and a high incidence of solid cancers. And reactors cannot prevent radiation from escaping as it is. See? And cesium causes holes in the hearts of children. So what do you think 220 million becquerels in a liter of rainwater when they're walking to school was going to do to them? And the same thing for the 129. So Noah's model, you'll find links below, dispersal model of the radioactive fallout is only based upon a couple of days releases. That's all. Link is below. You can go check it out yourself. But you got to realize and remember to include all the other radioactive isotopes. Just because the top of cesium doesn't mean all the other ones were not there. It's just a trace, and they talk about that in that story. So 20 million particles of iodine-131. Even a terrorist couldn't hope to do that kind of damage. Okay? The so-called terrorists that have never happened, that you've spent trillions of dollars defending yourself against because it's clean, green, too cheap to meter. It's so stupid, the lies now for 74 years of manipulating you. So 1, 2, 3, 4 more of these headlines. Radiation from Seattle area survey may be withheld by the feds. 220 million becquerels. They never rolled out this model here. You didn't see this show up till about 2 years later, but it was done right away. Right? And so they're going to withhold it by the feds for national security? Because it's like a banana and potato chip? Hang on. Because it's like a banana and potato chip from Walking in the Sunshine? Because you're being assaulted with this rhetoric for 74 years. You can't move on and say, okay, well, he lied to me. What's the real truth? Just one of my videos. Game over for them if you're willing to listen to another narrative. That's not them. That's not from the puke machine. Not from something that got billions of dollars at stake every year. Your future and the entire ecosystem and society and the 8 million species depend upon you trying to use your brain for a few minutes. That's terrible. You can't trust the system, right? It's horrifying that I got to show up and do what I'm doing. Government may have delayed level 7 rating to ease people into the harshness of clean, green, too cheap to meter lie. Reality. Japanese discuss personal health problems, strange deaths. 7 people die on a particular shopping street. No one dare mention its name. 7 people went shopping and went boop. Okay, if I had a shopping street anywhere in my country like that, anywhere in my country, I'd be considering leaving my country. Because that's not supposed to happen, is it? Move away instead of slurping in front of the microphone, Dina. 7 people die on a street because it's clean, green, too cheap to meter. It's like a banana and a potato chip from walking in the sunshine and getting on an airplane and sleeping next to somebody. It's harmless, innocuous, and benign, right? No. You die because it's lethal. So 40 million becquerels of iodine, 131 in a single bed of kelp off Southern California would be appropriate for radioactive fallout like that and like that, and modeled by your government like that, then that would make sense. So would that and that. Sadly, so does that. The windscreen phenomenon, why your car is no longer covered in dead insects. Because of that. See? Because that's what 20 million becquerels, that's what you expect to see with 20 million becquerels. And that's what you expect with 40 million in just a kilogram of kelp. Or you're talking about rain, per liter of rainwater. We had a liter of rainwater. Do you think that's just like fill up the jug and nothing else got wet in your country? With all these other isotopes. Don't bother warning you, because you will not like nuclear the minute you understood what I just told you. And they can't have that. They can't loot your country, and which leaves your country unable to function because the nuclear industry got to loot everything because terrorists might get it, Dana. It's clean and green, too cheap to meter, by the way, so... and looting your country. Does any of that make any sense to anybody? Don't worry, I'll stop slurping because I won't drink it when it's cold, and it's almost cold. And so just the windscreen phenomenon, the insects have disappeared. Not all of them, there's some left. Dana said the insect disappeared. I found one this morning, Dana. I've had people attack me like that, But this is not an accident. This is a well-oiled machine. People getting paid to fend ignorance and then to cause devoid. And then, they got an endless checkbook. I don't, right? And the DJI Inspire one, looks like that never fell through for that particular company. And go by because that was secondhand, right? 2,000, a little less than 2,000. The new ones are 4,000 and plus. The newest one is 6,000. And so 2,000 was a huge deal. I'll be able to find one for that price. So I did find this morning, just before I went live, I found DJI's refurbished drones. And so after the show, we'll go see if we can order one of those. Looks legit, DJI. Makes sense, right? Anybody sends them back to refurbish and make sure they're working. So if they're used, if they had them for 7 days and didn't want it, sent it back. Then it went to the factory. The factory inspected them, repackaged them. They're what they call refurbished. And so they might have got only like 10 minutes time, or people just, they didn't want to use it or whatever. They sent it back. And so everything is functional, comes with full warranty. We'll go that route. And we're heading out on the expeditions to do species counts like you see in there, actually. So what I do, I'll be gone for 6-7 months, maybe. Who knows at this rate? We're 2 weeks behind schedule already. I'm still here. I'm supposed to be long gone, back out on the expeditions, doing species counts on the coastline. So the pictures on your right are post-Fukushima, and your left are pre-Fukushima in the same spot. That's Haida Gwaii, formerly known as the Queen Charlotte Islands, Louise Narrows, right there. It's a very famous spot. It was anyway. Had all the life to your left. These are the official pictures, and that's me there and after, a year and a half ago. I have 6 gag orders. And a gag order is where you're not allowed to talk about a subject by law. You're silenced. So I was silenced for 3.5 years because that was the maximum. They gave me the maximum they could give me with all the fake laws they created to take me down and smear me in the media worldwide. We're heading back out to do the species count because that's how it's done, right? You got to go do the species count the second time. Even though the species are gone, this is why all the birds starved to death. They were flying the coastline. They couldn't find a normal life over to your left. It was all gone, right? So normally the bird can land anywhere and it'll be just covered in food, right? And that's a tiny section about this big of the ground. And so I give you a bigger expansive view so you can see it's all missing. But that was the very foundation of the ground. Think about how the ground looked, right? Especially at low tide, when the tide goes out. This is what I specialize is that low tide area was full of life, like you see to the left, and it was full of insects too, right? They coexisted and lived in harmony, in perfect harmony. And all the life at the high tide line, there was all this fauna and flora and invertebrates and all these sea anemones at the high tide line. They're gone. There's only a couple of algae left at best. Once they go, it'll be naked. There's no color left there anywhere. Right? Color was highly visible, very visible colors. And you couldn't put your Zodiac, get close enough to the beach because it's a soft bottom. Sea urchins would have poked holes in it, right? But if you go to my website, thenuclearproctologist.org, you can download these pictures in high quality. And every rock should be covered in sea anemones. Total wiped out because of Fukushima. But this didn't stop there. The windscreen phenomenon. We came up with this theory that the insects were missing. And so we put over 260 days, 15,000 miles of the coastline, and also many miles of highways on top of that. We started looking for insects. And what we discovered, to our horror, was the insects were actually missing. So the glaciers were wiped out here in British Columbia, and they fed the coastlines, the lakes, the estuaries, the rivers, and everything else. They're wiped out. It'll take 5,000, 10,000 years, a million years for them to come back after the radiation disappears in a million years. So they're gone permanently. And now we see headlines like grizzly bears go vegetarian because they're part of the climate change trendy. Choosing berries over salmon. They go to this elaborate hoax now of trying to say, well, the salmon are there at about the same time now as the berries, but because the berries, they're right there, the bear are becoming fat and lazy because they're eating the berries and they're not such a high protein, blah, blah, blah. They're becoming fat because of their thyroid is severely the big animals, because they eat Mother Nature, they're just sitting there munching on, walking through it, licking it off their fur all the time, right? When it first came through, it was... So warming temperatures means the berries are ripening earlier, says the crazy idiots, puke machines like The Guardian. These are total idiots, by the way. They're saying the bears have chosen berries. They went and interviewed all the bears, and the bears like, yeah, no, we're going to eat berries. Yeah, we see the salmon. We're just sick of salmon. We've been eating it for thousands of years. I just want to eat berries. I'm so tired of salmon. Oh, yeah. And they were saying how the bears would kill off most of the salmon. As if the salmon, now that the bears are eating the berry, you would expect all kinds of salmon, right? You're wrong again, because the salmon were wiped out. We've seen the studies of how the salmon eggs were wiped out during the nuclear bomb testing, right? We showed that stuff before. I just wanted to bring up those two couple headlines, the connotations. Hinkley nuclear site, radioactive mud to be dumped near Cardiff. That's a strange name. Now down here they had an accident at Sellafield, and they didn't go to Cardiff or wherever, the other nuclear power plants to get people to help them when Sellafield caught fire and blew up. No. They went to the theater first. Who knows what they done after? But originally they went to the theater and took out the back rows of the theater at gunpoint, took them to the nuclear power plant and made them push the fuel rods out. In Britain, they didn't go to the other power plants and get workers. They didn't call on the IAEA, right? Or the NRA, the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. Hey, can you send us some people? We got a bit of a problem. Yeah, go to the theater and take the two back rows. I kid you not. More than 300,000 tons of radioactive mud. 300,000 tons. So put a 1-ton bag in the back of a pickup truck and get 300,000 pickup trucks and put them bumper to bumper. And so you're talking about a lot of... This is from bomb production, from atomic weapon production. They're going to take it and put it in a local estuary. Because they're demons. They're going to do that so they can make way for the new, clean, green, too cheap to meter power plant they're going to put there. That's going to pollute. 6 times more breast cancer around these things. The inflows of both seawater and fresh water, what's an estuary, is a partially enclosed coastal body of brackish water. This is where they're going to dump all the toxic waste. They're going to dump it in an estuary. And you know what an estuary? Making estuaries among the most productive natural habitats in the world. Right? Because of the flow of the fresh water, the salt water, the nutrition both in the water column and the sediment makes it the most productive natural habitat in the world. They're going to dump all their nuclear waste because that's the only way they can keep nuclear clean, green, and too cheap to meter. That fable of law is they got to wait till nobody's looking. Now they're just like in UK, they're just thugs anyway. Oh, we're going to do it. Yeah, we don't care. That's okay. No, we're government officials. We know what we're doing. The scariest thing out there, somebody says they're a government official. The minute they got the job, they become a demon. The minute they got the job, they become a thug. The minute they got the job, they thought they were untouchables. The minute they got the job, they try to murder everything on the planet with every decision they've ever made. Oh, we got a little book. We're just following the book. Yeah, because you're too stupid to think on your own. Your parents made sure of it. Politicians in Wales have denounced the move, but one accusing the Welsh government of selling out to London and the nuclear lobby. So what do you mean, selling out? When didn't they sell out? How could they not sell out when that's all they do? That's what their job is all about. That's why they exist. That's the very persona of what their friends and families and loved ones know of them. They're sellouts. They're degenerates. They're chicken necks. They're there to destroy everything, to pretend they're somebody there never could be. They're incapable of having authority and not abusing it. They have called on ministers to commit to further radiological tests before giving consent, as if that was going to happen. No, they already got their mind made up. They're going to dump it in an estuary where it contaminates the food chain, the water tables, and everything else. In 2013 assessment in the center, instead of putting it on a nuclear repository, instead of creating a site, instead of taking the universities and creating technology to minimize what they're doing after and in the first place. No, just let them run ragged, don't care, dump it in the river. Well, we're going to put a nuclear power plant there, Dana. Yeah, we'll put the stuff responsibly in containment and store it for 1 million years. Well, that would cost the other company billions and trillions of dollars, Dana. They'd have no profit. The shareholders wouldn't buy shares. Yeah. You should be put in a hole and buried alive. Fuck you. You degenerate pieces of junk. Excuse the language. Oh, Dana swore. I can't listen to Dana. He swore. Yeah, but they killed everybody. They lied to everybody. They murdered your children, your friends, and your families. But Dana swore, so there you go. That guy telling you the truth has an emotional breakdown once in a while. And like I see so many people do that to me now, year after year after year. It's not real people. That's the industry, right? Seizing up on that moment where I had a burst of anger and using that as, he's a violent man. See, violence is coming, but it won't be from me. It'll be from the people that woke up and found out that you lied, manipulated so much for 74 years, that you were literally like goblins in every context. You had every attribute of a goblin. We know sediment and mud flats can dry out and blow ashore. That fine sediment and radioactivity attached can transfer to the land in marine aerosol and sea spray. Don't need Deary John to tell us that. We cover it over and over and over. Studies in North Wales tidal surges, he added, had revealed that the deposited mud and sand were heavily contaminated with radioactivity from Sellafield. All they can do is pollute. They can't contain anything. They can't put it in a sarcophagus because everything has to be vented. The mud to be dredged contained 50-year-old deposits from Hinkley Point, where radioactive material from Britain's atomic weapons was produced. So the stuff they're going to dredge is 50 years of atomic weapons dumped out there, 50 years of dumping it out already. Because if nuclear tried to clean it up, you bankrupt UK. The government couldn't even clean it up, afford to clean it up. You bankrupt the country is a better way of looking at it, is what I'm trying to tell you. No dose of naturally occurring radiation, non-naturally occurring radiation is safe. No dose. 0 dose. A single time is a deadly dose 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. See? It sequesters in your muscles, your organs, and your bones. And then it manifests down the road because it's attacked for decades with white blood cells. They'll never stop attacking it. That displaces your oxygen, your red blood cells carrying oxygen and nutrition. We have undertaken a number of assessments and prior to this application, which concludes the activities pose no threat to human health or the environment. An EDF, idiot machine. We will only allow the work to start if we're confident the activity will not harm people and the environment, but we just showed you in the same story 50 years of nuclear weapons material released into the same area. They got to dredge it up because they don't want it there, because they're putting on the plant there because it's not safe to have there. So how is it safe to dredge it up and put somewhere else? Why not just leave it where it's to? You're dredging it up because it's dangerous to your employees, and when you have an accident, they go home and the homeless go in. The blue whale. So I was looking for whales, and this blue whale keeps showing up. And so I started going down that path. What is blue whale? What is the blue whale game? Where did that come from? I got obsessed about that the weekend a little bit because it's really getting under my skin how far that gets in my way of looking for people that are posting material about whales, right? So the blue whale is a suicide game based upon the theory that blue whales, when they're old, will beach themselves to die, like it's some kind of noble thing or something, which is totally stupid. The blue whales we see beaching in the last number of years are emaciated. They went from 12 inches of blubber down to 4. They're completely emaciated. They're starving to death. They can't find the krill or the sardines or the herring or the anchovies or the squid or blah, blah, blah. So we're burned through this bit. So I start finding... I'm creating... A lot of times when I'm doing, I'm screen capturing as I'm going through, just in case it adds up later for me. So you don't really get to see... I might screen capture, I screen capture 600-700 things a day. And then I'll usually bring 100 to 200 to you guys. But if I have an exceptional day where I do 1,000 or 2,000 screen captures, I might bring you, say, 300 screen captures in a day, right? And some days I'm just, whatever I'm reading in a period of time, I'll screen capture it, and then I'll come back and revisit it with you guys because I'm on the trail of whatever. So what you're seeing here is the same thing. So blue whale, what if it starts showing up like in a 24-hour period? You can get 100 pages of blue whale on YouTube. You have whale boys. This was a really strange one, and they crashed a children's party. Old man poops on a stranger. The Great Beach Chase. Some really strange stuff going on there. I'm not sure if they're a public relation firm up to something else. Blue Whale Games short film. And so then I found a video, amazing drone tour footage, whale sighting. That was a good one. But it was so hard to find anything because of blue whale, right? And so shock and horror. And that was a drone footage I was just talking about. It was another one with whales. It wasn't drone footage. They were right up, literally, with their bow on the whale's back. How to complete blue whale challenge. So you got a challenge, and don't talk to anyone all day is challenge 3. So some really strange stuff. how to complete blue whale challenge. Cut your leg on day 47. Day 50, jump off a high building and take your life. So it's 50 days of doing challenges. Some days you sit there and listen to whatever music they feed you every day. And other days watch videos they feed you every day. So day 50, you guessed it, is jump off a building. Last day, game over. Blue Whale Sanctuary Hotel. That's a tough name to have right now, buddy. You don't realize it, but Blue Whale game, Blue Whale suicide game. See that, kids? You start seeing a lot of that. After watching this, you will die, Blue Whale. And so see, Fukushima ghost ship washed ashore in Hawaii. I was following up on that story that we covered on Saturday about the whales washing up emaciated and dying. Like the odds of two whales washing up on the same beach or in the same area and in the same day is astronomical. But the whales didn't just wash up in that spot, they washed up in other spots on the island. There's 5 altogether that died that we know about. Originally, obviously there's much more than that. U.S. needs consent-based process for nuclear waste storage. Former Secretary of Energy, the National Clean Energy Summit 9.0. So I popped back and forth on that story and the 9.0 a little bit. I was trying to figure it out. It was in Las Vegas. This is probably why they had the big shooting down there, because they were going to have this there. So they wanted a big distraction for the media, so they wouldn't cover stuff like this, right? It barely gets any traction. National Clean Energy Summit. A consent-based process is needed when it comes to disposing of the country's spent nuclear fuel, bananas, potato chips, walking in the sunshine, getting on airplanes, and sleeping next to somebody. It's everywhere. It's good for you. But hey, we need a consent-based when it comes to disposing of it after. Because we lied for 74 years, Dana. And they're not going to stop. They're never going to stop lying. Money never showed up. Somebody said they were going to send me some money. It didn't show up. In case they're wondering, did it show up? It didn't show up. And then somebody else donated which was Dave. Didn't want their names mentioned, actually. I shouldn't have said it. For the gimbal, that never showed up in my account last week or the weekend, so probably going to show up today in my bank account. It takes 5 or 6 days for it to show up in your bank account, generally. I have seen rare times when it's an extra day or two, but should be there today. And because we're getting ready to go out and do the expeditions, and so we raised enough money for some big pieces of equipment, but the winter is almost here, you know? Brutal. Waiting for the carburetor to show up for the little kicker. I'm just got myself tortured at this stage. I got no idea how to do this, right? How am I going to get everything on that little boat? And get up the coastline and do it again? It's brutal. You got to raise so much money to make it happen, just to get there. Right? And then you got to... And what happens if you don't raise any more? You got to have faith, obviously, but such a big chance on something going wrong and no way to get out of it once it goes wrong is scary for me and everybody else, I'm sure. In Europe, in Scandinavia, for example, a consent-based process has actually led to a competition for a site and is moving forward. Now, this is a competition of public relation firms. Nobody in their right mind would want anything to do with it. This is why you're doing it that way. This is why you're wording it those ways. Nevada officials have staunchly opposed the Yucca Mountain project. Yeah, they spent $20 billion on litigation. Oh, we don't want you on Yucca Mountain. so clean, so green, so carbon-free, so cheap to meter, they spend $20 billion. It's so easy to liquidate the Americans' assets for the nuclear industry is what you see. $20 billion. $20 billion litigation and lawyers and courtroom costs. Courtroom costs. People fighting in the courtroom. We want you to come out, man. We got to put the nuclear waste somewhere. It's not about this at all. This is about looting the system, kickbacks going out from there. All it is. They're 100% looting your country. Mans, who doesn't care about himself, said investments in deep innovation to reduce carbon emissions, the kind that might not pay off for 20 to 30 years, was lagging? Really? You don't even give it a chance. You burned, for 74 years, you lied to everybody and said nuclear was the carbon-free sweetheart darling. If you're making long-term decisions of capital locations, you'd be crazy to base them on a high-carbon future. Which is, so in other words, nuclear is low carbon. These are ludicrous, idiotic assertions, and there's no one out there in the media at all, not a single person in any media, any universities, and any government agencies in any countries that we can turn to. That'll tell us the truth. They know the truth. Everybody knows the truth at this stage, I would hope. But we don't have anybody we can turn to. This is why I exist. This is why I have 6 gag orders, because I told the truth. How dare you? This is how violent the inbreeds now have become. These are the inbreeds of the inbreeds of the inbreeds of the inbreeds in these industries. That's all it is. They got away with it. They had children and raised their children to go cover up what they done. They raised their children to cover up what they done. And they, same thing. This is 7 decades later, and now the inbreeds in charge of these particular positions are incredible thugs, are unbelievable, but idiot thugs, moron thugs, dummy. Like people in your universities, these are the most idiotic people conceivable. Wicked education, all kinds of accolades, but willing to murder everybody on the drop of a hat for the industry. That's what they got the job. You can't get a job in university unless you're willing to turn on everybody on the planet on the drop of a hat. Because some idiot corporation with shareholders, all shareholders should be fucking shot anyway. Fuck every one of them. You idiots. You lazy demons. Downwinder, eh? What do you mean downwinder? There's so much of that going on. Oh, downwinder. People that say they're downwinder don't even ask themselves what they're talking about. There's no such thing as a downwinder, okay? Does the snow blow one way? Does the rain only blow downwind? Does the fucking fog only go downwind? What are we talking about? It's downriver. The people downriver from the nuclear power plants are being poisoned. So they flipped it and called it downwinders, and then people out there like, I'm a downwinder, but they're downriver from the nuclear power plant, but nobody says the word downriver anymore, they say downwinder. They took the word, switched it, put in downriver, downwinder. Now everybody's out there, I'm a downwinder. Like, do you really think the wind only blows one direction from a nuclear power plant? Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? They can't ask themselves the simple question of, what? You know what I mean, right? You can't, but it's because media repeats it. People read it and they're like, that's me, I'm a downwinder. I'm a downwinder. I'm a down. Trying to order stuff the weekend, I ran out of money again. Never had enough money to order. I wanted to order an electric kettle and electric frying pan for the boat, 12 volt. Right, so I don't have to suffer. They're not very expensive, but I didn't have enough. I don't want to put any more money on the card because I need money to get up on the ferry and get gas to get out on the ocean with. Get the whole show up and running again. It's just overwhelming. Moreover, its provision supports the inclusion of Guam as a downwind site. So now Guam, you'll love this one. And according to Robert Celestial, president of the Pacific Association for Radiation Survivors, Guam is downwind of nuclear tests. like 1,400 kilometers away, but it's downwind, Dana. I can see it. So it's 1,400 kilometers to, and I'll show you that coming up. Like, it really scares me when I read stuff like this. So, Guam in the list of eligible downwinder areas, the legislation would increase compensation for downwinders from 50,000 to 150,000. Right? So, yeah, because we haven't got to cover downwind that way, or downwind this way, or downwind that way. We're going to cover downwind this way. This is what they just done, right? So we're going to give them an extra. So much. Hang on. So which one is a downwinder? Again, I gotta kind of work this one out. So if you have an accident, this is Japan's radioactive fallout. Which one is downwind anyway? North America, right? And then the wind changes and blows back that way. What happens? Well, all that stuff blows back, then the wind changes and blows it this way again. Have you ever seen a snowstorm that just lingers in one spot? See, the snow lands on the ground, you can see it. You're like, wow, that was a lot of snow. That's because it lingered there, right? But it didn't snow the other direction because the wind only blows, the snow only blows downwind, right? So North Pole, you'll only find snow in North Pole in one direction. And because they're downwind of the snowstorm, see? They're like, downwind. Okay, I'm downwind of Japan. How does that work again? See, when you put it in the real context, it makes zero sense. So how is Guam, like Hawaii's downwind, look at it, Hawaii's downwind of Japan, see that? It went past Hawaii and circled around and got there. This is what they're claiming. But this is the government's model that I've shown you earlier. This is NOAA's model. Only based upon 2 days of venting, not based upon the detonation. Does that make any sense to anybody? This is downwind. See? Look at that. You're downwind. Does that make any sense? Oh, look at that. Canada and America and Alaska, North America, and Britain and Atlantic, and everybody else is downwind. Does that make any sense? They're downwind. I just feel like a fucking idiot every time I say the word downwind. Like, what are you talking about? Well, these people, they use it as part of their everyday language. You're downwind. There, you get $50,000. Have a nice day. They're pretty cool. Guam's downwind. It's 1,200 miles directly west of the test site. That's downwind, Dana. Doesn't blow the other way or that way or those ways or these ways or them ways or that way over this. No. It's Guam is directly downwind of the nuclear test, Dana. I just want to break something. Just want to pick something up and smash the fucking shit out of it. Because downwind, to me, is... You're a sweet person if you're an innocent victim and repeated it. But if you're, like, educated government agencies, politicians, celebrities or whatever, you're highly educated, highly informed, highly articulating, you got access to all kinds of stuff, and you're still repeating... decades later, 5 decades later, calling Guam, downwinders. You're blaming it on the nuclear testing when you should blame it on the nuclear testing at Guam. You're blaming it on the nuclear testing 1,200 miles away. And this is a politician and media doing this to us. Like, literally, you want to pull your fucking hair out. You literally want to smash your head off a rock. I'm too fucked up in my head when I got so frigged up in my head I can't even think when I read that. What? 1,200 miles away, directly west of the nuclear testing decades ago. Oh, the poor things are downwinders. Are going to give them $150,000 a pop. I was on a boat fishing. Directly between that, do I get $150,000? I was a downwinder for a while too. I want my chunk of a free pie. 150,000, I can go out and get a nice boat and do the whole coastline, great big boat, and tow around my dinghy. By the way, I love my dinghy, don't get me wrong. I've done the job. It's just you got no room to stand up, let alone lie down. It's okay, we'll go do it again, whatever. Who cares? I don't care. Just wish I knew now what I knew then, what I know now, and I could have done everything so much different. But we were vilified and demonized and harassed and attacked, badgered, smeared, including areas in the South Pacific where the U.S. government and the Atomic Energy Commission. They don't sound like demons, see? Atomic Energy Commission. AKA unbelievable demons, criminals. Conducted nuclear tests from 46 to 62 because they knew how demonic it was. They were so vicious. They're still the same way. Their inbreeded little chicken-necked children now are in positions of authority and power and are monitoring us and are putting us on a list like they're some kind of gods or something. Like how dare people criticize their motives or the things they're doing or their history or legacy? How dare anybody criticize people that work for industry? How dare us? Well, industry is going to get the government to come thump the shit out of us. I already got 6 gag orders because it's illegal to criticize the industry. It's illegal to criticize universities that will all hang in the near future for what they're doing. Legally, people will go out and hang them in the streets because the world will decide to get rid of them at the one time. The resolution also cited the radiation exposure screening and education program reported 2005, which states as a result of its analysis, the committee concludes that Guam did receive measurable fallouts from atmospheric testing of nuclear weapons in the Pacific, and that residents of Guam during that period should be eligible for compensation under RECA in a way similar to that persons considered as downwinders. So legislation calls people downwinders when the wind blows every direction. They done it just to make you stupider. We'll give a bit and we'll take everything away. We'll take their common sense away from them. There's so many examples of that. According to the May 2017 study by some idiot Congressional Research Service, RECA has already awarded nearly $2 billion in benefits to 30,000 claimants since the program started more than 2 decades ago. And so you couldn't possibly hope to get any more stupider when you come in contact with these people, because they're actual demons, know exactly everything they're doing there is totally, because they can't tell the truth. They got to keep the lie alive. The lie can never be corrected. You can't say, oh, well, we lied for a while, now we'll just tell the truth and skip past everything. You got to keep that lie alive, because these survivors are still out there that believe the lie for decades. So this is WIP Waste Repository, just for one quick second. So at WIP, they had a truck fire. There's the truck. There's the official picture. The tire caught fire. This is why they never went down into 55 football field-sized caverns for 10 days. And then they had a radiation release when they were just about to go down. They were all just coming out of the lunchroom. The alarms went off. They had to shelter in place. They couldn't go back down. So 10 days with a truck fire, they couldn't get down there. When they were ready to go down, all of a sudden there was an alarm. They had to shelter in place for a couple of days on the site because there was a release somewhere else. So this wasn't a release, but they stayed away. That's the official story, eh? No, I'm not making it up. So Hanford contaminated tunnel nearly half full of grout. Hanford got the same thing. The tunnel was only half full, so it's been releasing non-stop. It's not like it had a quick release and stopped. It never stopped. So they brought in the Victims of Society, and they poured truckloads. They'll be doing it for the next month. And they're going to do it all night long so the locals don't freak out with all the trucks coming and going. And that's the tunnels. And it's full of railway cars, full of fuel rods. Look at the depictions that they're showing you, right? See all these containers? These are sarcophagus where they store fuel rods in. Yeah? That's what they're up to. Austria to sue over Hungary nuclear power expansion. 13.2 billion expansion. Because it's clean, green, too cheap to meter. Do you know Watts-Bar took 43 years to get the doors open? 43 years. Liquidating the country's assets. 20 years use out of it. Clean, green, too cheap to meter. Really? After 43 years of construction of nothing but intensive carbon. Unbelievable. Then you got to dig a big pit every year to fuel it. Those uranium pits you see, big empty uranium pits, that's 1 year of fuel. And then the rest is turned into chemical wash and evaporated into your community of the pit. $13.2 billion. Even the European Commission has concluded in its report that the expansion of this nuclear plant will never be profitable without massive state subsidies. And there'll be endless breast cancer, endless diseases, endless injuries and illnesses, endless heart and liver and lung and respiratory and pituitary and adrenaline and thyroid gland, diabetes and Alzheimer's and autism, endless around these places. The construction of 2 new reactors, part of the 2014 deal struck between Hungary's right-wing prime minister and their ally, Russia's President Vladimir Putin, whose mom and dad worked for Stalin. Stalingrad. Vicious thugs and carrying on the legacy of idiocracy. There's no future for anybody because we won't get rid of the misery machines. Everybody sits around licking their boots trying to get a nickel out of it. Fiercely anti-nuclear, Austria has denounced the move at the time and already threatened legal action. Yeah, because Austria has orphanages from Chernobyl. Renewable energy crucial for national security, panelists say. Renewable energy crucial for national security. Now what you're thinking? When Marine Lieutenant General Richard C. Zilmer was fighting in Iraq in 2006, this is 5.5 million rounds a month to get 10,000 Taliban for 9 years. You got 5 million orphans in Afghanistan to get to 10,000 Taliban, then you went to Iraq, done the same thing, millions dead, millions missing, millions in refugee camps, millions unaccounted for. 5.5 million rounds a month, 29,000 rapes a year in the military to get to 10,000 Taliban, 22,000 drone strikes in India. You went to Libya, stuck a stick up Gaddafi's butt and lugged him around, horrified the world. You wrecked that country, went over to Syria, 7 million refugees. There's 7 million starving to death now in Yemen. You destroyed those countries and those surrounding. For what? 10,000 ISIL, 10,000 Taliban, 10,000 Boko Haram, 10,000 Hamas. It's your magic number. You wreck everybody and everything for a decade. Oh, there's 10,000. That's good enough. Let's send a couple of million over there. And how many suicide bombers does it take to equal a tank? All the suicide bombers on the planet don't even equal a tank. All the suicide bombers on the planet, the one time, don't equal a tank. How many suicide bombers does it take to equal a jet fighter? How many suicide bombers does it take to equal an aircraft carrier? How many orphans is too many to get 10,000 Taliban? Is 5 million too many? Is 6 million? Because you're heading there just for one country. That's just one country, by the way. 5 million orphans to get 10,000 Taliban. You haven't got a building left but some Muslim raped a girl somewhere, and so it's a big deal. Yeah, but there's 300 rapes a day in the military. 300 rapes every day in the military. You don't open your fucking pie hole about rape a Muslim in another country. Demons! Freaking Muslim gotta go bomb them. Scum! This is the military-industrial complex seeding the comments with this. A substantial number of U.S. soldiers were being killed or wounded while traveling in convoys. And the purpose for a significant percentage, this is Blackwater killing soldiers. There was no resistance. Well, after you raped everybody, I guess, but. So to reduce the need for that fuel, Zimmerman recognized lives could be saved if they come up with solar panels that could do the job too. just so we can kill more lives. Less soldiers die, the more the soldiers can kill. More soldiers to kill people. Lee Gunn said global warming was creating a major challenge for the Navy. The global warming, the military is flying in the upper and lower troposphere constantly, endlessly, and then their ships are no ships are fuel efficient in the military. They're non-stop. Their tanks are burning hideous amounts of fuel. Their jets are hideous. Everything about the military is nothing but global warming, the worst imaginable. Scum. You're in the military, you're just a fucking scumbag. You're a low-life rapist. You're a despicable mass murderer. You go fuck off somewhere. At home, meanwhile, National Guards forces at home. People join the Guard at home because they're the inbreeds, right? They want all the accolades that come with it. They want all the freebies. They want to be the in crowd of mass murderers because they're trendy in their community. The development of alternative energy in order to respond to disasters where the power grid is knocked out. To respond to, like the military is a disaster, the National Guard is a disaster. They're mass murderers too. Governor Bullish on the battery storage, like you, instead of storing the power in batteries, you hook up to a compressor and you store the juice as a air. And so air, you're not going to lose your air. You can keep the air there for 10 years. It's still storable. A battery will be dead long before that. Battery is very toxic to the planet. Blah, 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 blah. But air is so easy to capture, so easy to store, so simple to reuse. Like it's only 30 psi of water is a water mill for your home, say, right? So 30 psi of air is simple to accommodate. And steel is the most abundant mineral on the planet. Why would you use batteries when you can use steel tanks and store air? And air, of course, you can ramp up the pressure. You don't have to increase the batteries to get the voltage. You just ramp up the pressure. And you got whatever, 220, 110, whatever you want. Batteries can play a major role in renewable energy. No, see, this is a way of killing nuclear energy, a way of destroying nuclear energy by using batteries. Everybody can hook up tanks, cascade tanks, 50 cascade tanks on a pressure system. Simple, mindless, stupid mathematics would run your home for weeks probably, at least a week anyway. And you can pump them up in one day. So you use electricity for one day to fill up your tanks and then have free electricity for a week. All the electric heaters you ever want running full time. Because air power is so powerful, so consistent. Brian Sandoval, and this is my thought only, that about the power, because it's simple, right? It's simple. It's such a simple thing. Everybody knows what a compressor is or how it works, how to fix it. It's simple. Brian Sandoval, that closed out the National Clean Energy Summit. New uranium mine, no simple answers. A town on the edge of the Navajo Nation unknowingly drank uranium-tainted water for at least 12 years. Navajo babies. Navajo is not their traditional name, but this is a name the government gave those people, showing increasing uranium concentration during their first year of life because of all the abandoned uranium mines. Clean green 2 sheet per meter. Children swim in natural pools near Cameroon, they later learn, have been filled with water from the abandoned uranium mine. Fears about the reopening of 1 million acres of the Grand Canyon to uranium mines? Rightfully so. Researchers haven't yet determined if data from soil, water, and living inhabitants largely support or refute such a fear. They're still nailing down the possible sources of high uranium measures in a handful of water in the watershed. Blah, blah, blah. As if 74 years later they don't know. But then they've studied nuclear isotopes more than the natural atoms and isotopes on our planet by far. Like, first off, toxicity of inhaled plutonium in beagle dogs. All the dogs died within 5 years. Bone tumors found in 93 dogs were the most common cause of death. Lung tumors found in 46 dogs, second most common cause of death. Liver tumors were found in 20 dogs. The cause of death in only 2 dogs occurred later than tumors in the bones and the lungs. And tumors in these 3 organs often occurred in the same animal and were competing causes of death. These findings suggest that similar dose-related biological effects would be expected in humans exposed to man-made ionizing radiation. But it doesn't just travel in one isotope, all the other isotopes travel there too. So no matter how you spin it, no matter how you try to swing it, every facet of the industry has been lie after lie after lie. I lost my spot. Let's keep boogieing. Again, energy fuels and our regulars are confident that the canyon mine will have no impact on the water, says the bootlickers, and they've always said this. They originally planned to have 8 to 10 monitoring wells, but they only allocated enough money for one. In 2009, the owners of the Pine Nut mine found 2.8 million gallons of water accumulated in the mine shaft, become contaminated. The evidence that the wind disperses radiation-rich dust off-site at 3 mine sites in 2010 was discovered. Right, the tailings, right, this toxic stuff they put out there, that blows away when it dries out. Go figure, right? Uranium concentrations in soils near Pine Nut mine were measured 4 times the background radiation levels. This is, this has not gone through a chain reaction. This is just from mining this stuff. Issued a violation notice in 2017 for using joint hoses this year to spray water out of its containment ponds. Well, the ponds evaporate. You can't contain. What do you call it, a containment pond when all it does is evaporate all day, all night long till it's long gone? Oh, it's a containment pond. Yeah, but it evaporates. Oh, you're a downwinder too, are you? Yeah, that's right. Okay. These violations bring up the question of what sorts of impact, because downwinder is the stupidest terminology conceivable. And it's now part of legislation. If you're a downwinder, you can get I'm a downwinder, man. I'm a downwinder. Give me that $150,000. So how many people are going to say they're downwinders to get their hands on $50,000 or $150,000? Everybody there, right? Yeah. We're downwinders. These people are idiots. Thinks we're downwinders. Downwind is downwind. Is downriver, not downwind. They got rid of river, put in wind. So now everybody sounds like drooling idiots when they talk about it. It's not their fault. It's just been indoctrinated in increments over decades to utilize an idiot terminology that has no actual resonance for people outside the picture. They don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean downwinder? My neighbor burns garbage and the wind's blowing that way, I'll smell it. But if it's not blowing this way, I won't smell it. But I'm still a downwinder, ain't I? But let's see, it doesn't make any sense. I'm within range of the fallout. You have to admit, mining is hard on the landscape. And is that a price you want to pay so you can have electricity and not live in a cave? Like, the people that say these kinds of words, you want to just kick the shit out of them. Well, we got to have nuclear, otherwise we're going to be living in caves. You put your windmills in the mountains where the wind blows all the time. You can get rid of oil and gas and coal and nuclear at one time. Bre-X is a game changer for the British nuclear industry. Was another one the weekend. And so they're screeching that because Britain's leaving, then the Euratom, which is the EU's nuclear industry mass murder machine, will not be part of the Brits. So the Brits got to come up with their own security, their own criteria, their own kind of committees now to monitor that they're not giving away nuclear to terrorists who are going to make a dirty bomb or bomb out of it. Because it's like a banana, potato chip walking in the sunshine, too cheap to meter. Look at it. UK publishes nuclear safeguard bill for post-Bre-X. Right? This just showed up October 11th, 5 days ago. So the public legislation became necessary after government deemed it impossible to withdraw from the EU without also leaving Euratom. Euratom is the European nuclear agency that, right, they captured all these little countries, call it the EU, and then they imposed their nuclear monster machine upon them. They even talk about cancer treatment. Like, cancer treatment. Okay. So you're going to take the same isotopes that killed all the dogs, 144 beagle dogs, you're going to take that stuff and try to cure the dogs, are you? After they got cancers and died of tumors. So they got tumors found in 46 dogs, bone tumors in 93 dogs. Now you're going to go bring them to a hospital and give them the same radiation and treat them, are you? Do you got any idea how stupid you are? You got any idea how mass murderous you really are? How violent thugs you actually people are? What, like, the animals got, these animals with tumors, are you going to bring them? That's the same as your children and your friends and your family with the tumor. Okay, they got a bone tumor, they got a liver tumor, they got a lung tumor. Now you're going to bring them to the hospital. You're going to give them the same shit that brought that there in the first place. Well, that's the world we live in, though, yeah? This is what he wants you to think about. This is what he wants you to implement for them. This is what they want. And Japan's utilities Hitachi, Toshiba, which is Westinghouse. Westinghouse just went belly up, right? Paladin went belly up in Australia. You had Areva went belly up in France. You had TEPCO went belly up. You got Camco here in Canada going belly up. Now, we live in this fantasy world where our government now has become, there's no such thing as a government, to become just pure thugs. And they're actually just lobbyists. There's no such thing as a government. They're lobbyists who got the job that where government should be. We got lobbyists who got a job where your media should be, where journalists are supposed to be. And we got lobbyists where university professors are supposed to be. Right? Administration, they're all lobbyists. They're 100% the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds for the last several decades. And so many inbreeds showing up now, we can't even find a spot for them. Explosion at Camco Key Lake Mill left no one injured, Nuclear Commission. Nuclear Commission. Not police, not fire department, not investigator, government but Nuclear Commission, which is just a group of nobodies, yeah, that are appointed by a handful of industries, and then no police were investigating what happened. The commission investigated it. A commission went in and found out nothing happened. Dana's filling your head full of shit. You had a plane crash in Japan, unchanged after Okinawa accident. So 3 planes, or a helicopter burst into flame. The U.S. military added the radioactive substance was quickly and safely removed by his team. But in the next part of the sentence, it says, Defense Bureau's officials checked the soil and water near the site on Friday and Saturday and detected normal levels of radiation. Your Geiger counter doesn't detect normal levels, normal emitters, like sunshine and bananas and potato chips and walking in the sunshine. It only detects man-made radiation. It's a big word game, and it's meant to make you incapable of having a conversation so that they can pretend that they're actual. So the people doing it can pretend, believe to themselves that they're morally driven a lot of the times, but they're actually the worst idiots imaginable. So, size of the workforce at Fukushima Daiichi. This is the official Japanese Atomic Industrial Forum 2015. They claimed it was 6,000 to 7,000. I'm not sure, but they're the official Japanese nuclear regulatory. They don't know. There's 6,000 or 7,000. But it took 160 to 260,000 to make the ice wall. So 6,000 to handle 3 melter reactors nobody else on the planet can handle. By the way, they're not employees. They're homeless, destitute immigrants and victims of society. People don't speak the language. To 6,000 or 7,000. But apparently they sent in 260,000 other people to build an ice wall. No, I'm not making it up. Yes, I wish I was. We dispatched reporters to look at the working situation within the Fukushima Daiichi premises, zeroing in on the spirit of the men involved in the work. Yeah, well, what about the 260,000 that worked on the ice wall? How come you didn't zero in on them? We're working on the ice wall all these long years. And they made $1,000 each if they didn't buy any equipment. Nobody got any extra money. If all 260,000 got $1,000, that's how much money it costs to do the ice wall, by the way. So the government likes to lie, and big lies are better than small lies. Why are the guilty parties not doing these clean up work? That was a commenter. What a wonderful idea was to build these death reactors in small and beautiful but seismically unstable Japan. That's some sarcasm, buddy. Great job, Hiroshi. When will those responsible for the disaster and the lies be brought to justice? And why are the guilty parties not there doing cleanup work? I agree. We should definitely take every one of them, bring them in there and drop them off, and get outside with machine guns. Anybody tries to run away, just knock them down with the machine guns. Half of the 6,000 to 7,000, depending on who you're asking, workers in Fukushima came from Fukushima. That should be completely evacuated all the way to Tokyo. So the country's demonic. And then Fukushima puts up all the bootlickers, Hitachi, Tokyo Electric. These are all the people that helped them lie. They're so proud of their lies. So Japan, which is this one here, Japan's Atomic Industrial Forum had delivered a lecture. So I ended up over there, by the way. Thinking together about the disposal of high-level radioactive waste. The students are all majoring in nuclear fuel engineering in the school's Department of Nuclear Safety Engineering. Nuclear safety engineering. Isn't that like some kind of sick, twisted joke at this stage? As if there's something safe, as if there's some kind of nuclear engineering going on here? You put it on a fault line where it's in a tsunami-prone zone where it's guaranteed to go down. Just because you got a building and you got a moniker that you're a professor, don't mean that you're a professor. Doesn't mean that you're human. Doesn't mean that you're somebody anybody should ever trust ever for any circumstances. I wouldn't even walk across the street in front of your car. I wouldn't trust you to drive the car. To prompt students to think further about what they want the future of energy to be. Well, it's up to you guys now. How do you want nuclear to be? You're the future. You gotta lead the charge. Because everybody thinks it's not clean, it's not green, and it's not cheap to meter. Regarding the disposal of high-level radioactive waste from nuclear power, the professor said that the internationally favored method of geological disposal is considered the most feasible, the cheapest, as safety will be ensured without further human effort, even if the waste itself is forgotten, is what he claims. Now it goes into a chain reaction. It doesn't care whether you forgot it or not. Oxygen gets in there, it detonates. And then you have a chain reaction forever and we lose the planet for sure. See, the charters for the nuclear power plants was they're going to put it in a sarcophagus where no atoms would escape into the environment because the atoms have infinity life span. So they betrayed us every step of the way. This person, this institution, this university, this school of nuclear engineering is by the very definition a monster because it perpetrates the crime upon us with every new student. The students themselves are on their way to becoming full-fledged monsters. The professor is a monster producer. All he does, he's the epitome of everything wrong with everything in our solar system is people like him and his students. Even though his students see such great harm, such humility now in their country to still go and join the nuclear industry because they're the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds, the inbreeds. They'll perpetrate the lie forever and forever. They're Ebola out of the box. They're the definition, the persona of evil, of demonic, of spineless and heartless. Our generation, shithead told the students, has enjoyed the benefits of nuclear power. Enjoyed the benefits of nuclear power. The benefits of nuclear power. Enjoyed it. Really? So we must pave the way for disposal of our own waste. He said that Japan has not yet reached the point in which surveys of candidate disposal sites can be carried out. You got over 100,000 dump sites with 30 million one-ton bags. You have to trick everybody into buying the food that should never be on sale. You have to deceive everybody to move back into a community by picking up 30 million bags into a place that is not habitable for even animals or insects or flores or fauna. You're the epitome of everything wrong forever. We have no hope on this planet as long as people like you exist and your students are proliferating. We have no future for anybody on this planet as long as nuclear exists. How can you ignore so much evidence? How can you ignore overwhelming facts? How can you ignore the devastation in your own hospitals, in your own graveyards? How can you not send your students into Fukushima every day to work? You're so lucky I'm not capable of grabbing you and dragging you to Fukushima and throwing you on the pile. I would love to do it. I wouldn't hesitate. The cases of Finland and Sweden were then discussed in both countries. Disposal sites are currently being selected, with the key to progress being that the government are trusted by the people. The key to the progress being that you can trust the government. The people were stupid enough to trust the government was how they tricked them in Sweden and Finland. But the key to progress being the government are trusted by the people. But the public relation firms, the lobbyists, are trusted by the people. There's a better way of putting it. New technology should be developed while attempts are made towards geological disposal. You don't know what to do with it or where to put it or how to get rid of it or what the long-term outcome of anybody being exposed to it allegedly is. But you just want to make more and more and more because you feel special, because you feel like you're fucking entitled, because you're an inbreed too, because your parents got away with it. You think you should be able to get away with it. And your children should get away with it, and their children should get away with it, because you're incapable of being a real person. You're incapable of doing anything moral. You're incapable of having a real fucking conversation. You're incapable of being patriotic. We hope that people grateful to have enjoyed the benefit of nuclear power volunteer their cities as disposal site candidates. We hope the people grateful to have enjoyed the benefit. Only a professor could say such shitty words. If only one student posed this question, why can't we find disposal sites in a cooperative fashion with these countries that have a lot of empty land? You're not going to believe this response, though. Maybe you will. In response, Associate Professor Fuckhead said of the Tokyo Shithead University City, at present, not knowing that the situation will be a few hundred years. Right? We don't know in a few hundred years. You don't even know yesterday was. It is generally agreed internationally that each country must dispose of its own. But see, every country is under the nuclear regulatory. Police can't touch any of these nuclear industries. They're all under the nuclear regulatory that can't touch any of these countries. They can only make recommendations. So there's nobody to hold them accountable. Your local idiot police officer can't fucking deal with them. They can get you for smoking a joint, not wearing your seatbelt, or they can make something up and fuck you. Yeah? And you do it. That's what they do for a living, right? They're the inbreeds too, by the way. I fucking had it with these people. It's generally agreed internationally that each country must be disposed of its own. I think everybody on the planet should figure out how to dispose of him and find it into their heart to do it. Like get him fired or something. If disposals were to be made externally, it would require quite a lot of discussion. Like you're doing there? Which is not a discussion. You're brainwashing the students, telling them that they got to work out what they want nuclear to be. There's no set course here. Just wreck the planet. As long as you keep it afloat, we'll wreck the planet. And that the university would offer classes in nuclear fuel cycle in the future. Yeah, they store it in a pool forever, then they put it in a sarcophagus and bury it, throw it in the ocean, everything else. Scuttlebiz, the biggest company you never heard of is Bill and Plant Vogel. Whatever. If you never heard of the Richmond Country Construction Limited, that's because it exists primarily on paper. It doesn't even have assets. Main reason, Bechtel and Williams are funneling union tradespeople through a proxy company is to keep dirt off their hands. So the nuclear people are building nuclear power plants are using shell companies so they can get away with steal more money. See, 43 years to build Watts Bar, 20 years you maybe use if you're lucky. Then 50 years to try to decommission the building. At the same time, you got nowhere to store the waste forever and ever. You leeches in everybody's community, 6 times more breast cancer, endless leukemia for children. Korea is going to have a vote now, but they've been pressured so much by the nuclear industry, attacked so relentlessly by the nuclear industry, they were going to have a vote to get rid of nuclear. Something like 500 citizens that are all going to be seated by the industry. Remember, Australia done it, but Australia won. But look at the battle. They fed them all the banana peddlers. Which is probably why I've been under siege for the last several weeks, right? It's because I'm so prolific with material. I'm the most prolific nuclear speaker expert on the planet, period. There's nobody more prolific than me. I'm more prolific than probably every activist out there put together. Per se, right? In the amount of material I provided and produced. Before I became public, if you wanted to go that route, the stuff I done before I became public, even I can't surpass that now since I've become public. The stuff I done before I became public, like I was the worst spammer this planet has ever seen, period. And it was all on nuclear. I took over over 242 countries. I took over their video sections. I had a long and illustrious career shitting on nuclear, man. They got under my skin a little too much. The decision, which will be announced Friday, is likely to profoundly affect the future of Korea's nuclear energy. I had to copy and paste it because it looks like that, and it's just too weird. The renewal committee, which would consist of 471 ordinary citizens, held a final discussion about whether to continue the construction of 2 reactors, which had been suspended since July, because President Moon of Korea, there was that headline, I haven't got it here right at the second, but 28 million Koreans in just one little area would have to be evacuated permanently if one of their spent fuel pools caught fire. Spent fuel pools are where they keep the reactor cores after they're finished with them. The cores go for about a year, and they put the core in the pool where it got to stay for decades to cool down. It's boiling off isotopes. Like, you remember those headlines of 220 million becquerels per liter of iodine-129 or 20 million becquerels of 131 in a liter? That's what the pool is like. And then all the other isotopes are mixed in with it, right? It's not just 220 million becquerels of one and that's the end of it. It's when you take that number, now you have a number you can utilize as a mathematical equations endlessly to cover the thousands of radioactive isotopes. After voting, the members will report the results to the government, which vows it will accept it, but it's been destroying everybody out there non-stop while it's waiting. And during his presidential campaign earlier this year, President Moon Jae-in promised to cancel the project and establish a foundation to phase out all of the country's nuclear power plants over the next 40 years. And last week he said he could not push ahead with this pledge because of a sharp division of opinion by the nuclear industry just went into full assault on him. Over the past 3 months, the members have collected opinions from experts in different areas and interest groups to examine the merit and demerits of building additional nuclear reactors. Like a nuclear reactor boils 1 million gallons a minute of water, for instance. And each glass of water is 1 billion creatures. And out of that billion creatures per glass, 16 million glasses per minute, and a billion creatures per glass for a nuclear power plant, 1,440 minutes a day. But just a glass of salt water would normally have a billion creatures, eggs and larvae, and 75 to 100 million of them are phytoplankton, the basis of the food chain, the oxygen chain, the carbon sequestering chain on this planet. For nuclear experts, and you boil 16 million glasses a minute per reactor. It's stupid. Then you have 6 times more breast cancer around nuclear power plants. But it does, like, see, when I say that, most people just let it go. Oh, well, there's 6 times more breast cancer around power plants. Yeah, but there's endless heart and liver and lung and respiratory, pituitary, adrenaline. There's Alzheimer's, dementia, autism, diabetes. These show up long before cancer. Cancer is the last one to show up. Nuclear is by definition an extermination event. This is why they got to lie to you non-stop. This is why they're coming to do these incredibly difficult streams. To try to bring you different contextual documentation as it's happening. They claim the risks of nuclear energy have been exaggerated by environmentalists and the media. Pro-nuclear experts have urged the government not to rush the decision if it wants to avoid an energy crisis. It's always this fear. Oh, well, it's the only clean, it's the only carbon-free source we got out there. That's what they always say, eh? Which is ludicrous assertions when it's boiling 16 million gallons of animals, 16 million glasses, 16 million times a billion creatures per minute. And it's environmental friendly, Dana. They also consider the nuclear reactors technologies that build them as Korea's valuable asset, which continue to provide clean, stable energy for its own people and beyond. So they want to proliferate the technology. They say the government should not waste the country's highly competent technologies and skills with a radical energy policy shift, saying they should be exported to other countries in need of effective energy sources. What are you talking about? You Looney Tune, whack job, idiot machine. See, and journalists that wrote it, these goblins, lobbyists, are incapable of reaching both sides of the conclusion and looking at. Korea has 24 reactors in operation, which it gets more than 30% of its power. And so they're looting the entire country and polluting the whole country if you got that many reactors. You got nowhere to put the waste. Wherever you put it is going to destroy that part of your country forever. Your water, your drinking table, your lands, your farms. Environmental groups have claimed the cost of nuclear waste and waste disposal are significant, yet they are not properly estimated. What are you talking about? Well, the nuclear industry just drowns out everybody's opposition endlessly. And we're almost through it. Just this last blurb. This was a press release from TEPCO a couple of days ago. Situation, storing, treatment, accumulated water. Just going to touch up on it. From Fukushima. Situation of storing and treatment of accumulated water in the building's actual records. Stored amount in each unit, building 1 to 4, including condensers, trenches. So, when you hear the words like this, unit 1 to 4, you hear that, you know you're talking to the worst of the worst of the worst idiots by far. I'll show you why in a second here. See, the fuel pools are at the top of the building. Crap. Man, do I got too much stuff on? Let me bring up pictures of the reactors if they exist anymore. There's so much on my computer. I don't know what I'm up to on this file. Hang on, we're almost there. So you picked up 30 million one-ton bags. 30 million one-ton bags. The buildings are destroyed. That's reactor 2. It's totally destroyed. Reactor 1. It caught fire, blew up, caught fire, blew up. Reactor 3 over there, there's no pools at the top of these buildings. This is the official picture pool that they were just talking about, TEPCO.
So this is really why we've been brought here. Where I'm standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge explosion after the tsunami disaster. But down inside this pool behind me here is still a vast amount of nuclear.
That doesn't even exist. It's not there to be seen. Nobody knows what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. And it doesn't really matter because that's the world that we live in, isn't it? All we can do is just try to have a conversation. 20 million particles of radioactive iodine per liter means no nuclear power plant should exist anywhere on the planet forever, for eternity. That we should all work together to solve this unbelievable dire straits that we're actually in. Not pretend it doesn't exist and wait for the end, but to go fight with everything we got for a future for the other 8 million species. To pretend that it doesn't exist is a betrayal to ourselves. It's a betrayal to everything that we should stand for. If not us, then who? If not you, then who? If not me, then who? Like all the other ones that have come before us have lied to us. Ernie Gunnarsson, Helen Collicott, Christopher Busby, Kevin Kent, all the big names that are propagated out there and proliferating through the medias. All of these have tried to negate what we have done. They've tried to destroy what we have worked for. They have taken away the opportunity for a future for literally everybody on this planet. And we are not going to sit here in silence and take it from the chicken necks anymore. We're not going to let them run free with our planet and wreck everything that we covered. We're not going to stand by and pretend it never happened. We thank everybody during the comment section. As usual, each day I'll come in and read your comments and hang my head and cry. It's become a habit now for me. And I know it's not on purpose. I know the things people say to me is not meant that way. But I have a heavy heart because I understand it so well that everything affects me. Maybe 6 or 7 months on the ocean will give me some kind of peace that I went and done the things that were supposed to be done, whether I succeeded or not. Just like the last time, I went and done it, and I suffered. Untold, I still suffer. I still live that horror, that trauma, and that'll never go away, and I don't want it to go away. I don't want that raw edge to leave me. I want to fight with everything I got. I want to be driven to fight. It's not very hard when it comes to this industry, but you got to be driven. You need something to drive you every day to get something done sometimes. And to watch my planet die in front of my own eyes, I can assure you, that gets me up. It makes me work twice as hard. And because it's not me, I've lived a very good life. It's everybody else and everything else. They don't deserve this. Thanks for everybody.